He needs a fire, the one who has just come in. His knees are shivering. Food and dry clothes will do him well after his journey over the mountains.
So what I take this to mean is that there's a time for journeying into the unknown and a time for, I guess, well, rest is one way to say it, but I would say consolidating the unknown that you've made into the known. So when, after a journey over the mountains, presumably from the unknown, you do actually need to rest, where as humans, we don't have an inexhaustible supply of energy and resources. So there's an ebb and flow to searching in the unknown and then coming back to the known and sort of getting your house in order. And if you have a guest, who presumably a friend, who's done that, like, why not support them in that? And if they're doing and living how they should be, absolutely, like, why not support them in that? Because it'll benefit you and them.
Yeah, great point. And it's funny, you say presumably the person who's in your house is a friend. My first reaction to that just now was that not necessarily your friend, but no, honestly, if you've invited someone into your home, that's already a bond of trust, right?
For sure.
And I think that's at the very least the first step to friendship. I'm actually jumping ahead a little bit. The very next stanza, I think, should go into that idea a little bit more, honestly. But I like what you're saying about coming into the known. For me, I just took more about preparedness. You need to ensure you have enough resources from, again, both perspectives, from host and guest, and it's just an interesting dichotomy here. The two roles that they're bringing up right from the beginning, the idea of host and the idea of guest, but both sort of need to have their roles, their part to play, and it's the host's job to provide this service, this fire, right, warmth, food, dry clothes. But then it's I think it's also the guest's responsibility to make sure that he is behaving well enough to earn that, something like that.
I think you're right. When you're talking about the dynamic of the host and the guest, I was kind of thinking, like, what are and we will see some of that, like the responsibilities between the two. But it is interesting that they've set up this dichotomy right away, that there's obviously something of importance here. And I mean, I'm not claiming to know all of it, but it's definitely worth looking at. And maybe it's just knowing what to do when you're the host or when you're the guest, because you're going to be both throughout your life.
Exactly. I think that's the biggest overarching theme here in this section, is that it's these roles are something that it's going to come up over and over, and you're going to cycle between being the host and being the guest. When you're putting yourself out there, when you've gone into the unknown, you're generally reliant on the good graces of other people across the board. You're reliant on society existing as it should. I would say that my bus driver in the morning is being a good host by allowing me to come onto his bus, sort of thing. But then that trickles up and up, into the level of, city government and society in general. We've all got this intricate social contract where we expect behavior, right? And just as you go in life, it's reciprocal.
Definitely.
So one last point here. I just wanted to make a note of the idea fire is needful is actually the wording in the Larrington translation, which is the one we'll most often reference. Another good one to check out if you like. This just goes back to, if you remember our episodes on the Voluspa, fire played a big role in the destruction of the world. And so in this context, this is fire as a good thing. Fire as something that provides warmth and life, renewal. So it's just a little note that these spirits of fire, these dangerous spirits of fire that were destroying the world, when they're left out completely chaotically to just do their thing, they're bad. But when it's properly controlled, chaos put into order, it can create some fantastic things. And even evolutionarily, our discovery of fire and our mastery of fire, because I think other animals do have some rudimentary, especially the chimps and stuff, have been able to, there's evidence, right, that fire has been used but never mastered, right?
Yes. I don't think chimps are able to make fire.
But they use it.
I think if they see, if there is a fire, I think they are happy to use it, often to go after the other chimps.
This is fully off the top of my head, just something I think I've heard, could be wrong. Feel free to correct us.
Definitely. Or post links to videos of chimps with fire, because that'd be pretty neat.
That'd be cool if someone had a video of that. Absolutely. Yeah. So anyway, that was just a point about overarching the idea of fire, and also these characters that have a bad side, an obvious bad side in the Voluspa. The positive side of it, and just the idea that if you take this chaotic, destructive thing and put order into it, it can be a tool, a fantastic tool, and so you should is
absolutely. It really shows the point of needing to go out and face chaos so that you can get very valuable tools like fire, which you can't really overstate the importance of fire in human evolution. Cooking food, protection against wild animals, making sure we don't freeze during the night. That's
what this is.
That's exactly what it is. So
yeah, just wanted to touch on that a little bit. So